we have been given the task of designing a bottle, a plastic bottle that will hold 1 US quart, liquid quart. The criteria says it must be filled up to this edge right there, across to the other side. We have been given a solid bottle, and the two things we must do is first of all determine what the volume it's holding right now, and then we need to modify it to make it hold 1 US liquid quart. So let's get started. Our first step is to determine how much volume this bottle can hold up to our designated line. So to do this, we'll quickly draw a work plane between two edges, the two edges that mark our boundary. Now, next thing to do is on that plane, create a sketch. Draw a rectangle around the bottle. It doesn't matter what size it is, just make sure it encompasses the bottle. You don't need to constrain it, it's just temporary. Then you want to extrude it. And you can leave it in cut mode, it makes it easy to see. You want to go past the bottom of the bottle. That's important. I would go past, it doesn't really matter, just make sure you pass. Then change to new body. Say okay. Next thing you want to do is go to the modify command and pick up combine. We're going to combine two solids, but we're going to cut them. So the solid right there representing a block of fluid, it doesn't matter what it is, and then we're going to pick the tool body. We would like to take the tool body out of it, but we want to keep the tool body for further use. So we say okay. So the first thing, there's the tool body. We're going to make that invisible. And you can see the oil inside and outside, or fluid, excuse me. So what we want to do is remove the outside. You do not want to delete it, remove it. So that represents the remaining fluid in the bottle up to the level we designated from the inside. We need to measure this. So what we can do is go to the body, right click and go to properties, and you'll see the cubic inches. Make note of it. The next step is to capture a few variables. So go to modify, and in your parameters we're going to make some user parameters. So the first one is a measurement from the bottom of this block of fluid to the top of it, the height. Now you can just simply left click on the distance and it records to the clipboard. Go to your parameters, create a new one, and let's call this existing height. Remember, you cannot have any spaces, and it's going to be in inches, so I can simply Control V and paste it. Now we want to make this a favor, so go ahead and do it at this time. So that is the height of the fluid at this point. Now, the next variable we want to do is the actual volume that we had a few seconds ago. Remember this volume right here, properties in cubic inches. You cannot copy this, you need to write it down so you can put it in very accurately into the parameters. So it's 51.7843 cubic inches. Go to modify, create a parameter, make a new user parameter called existing volume. Now I'm going to make a unit. I don't really need any units here, and just go ahead and type it in. And say OK. Make it a favorite. Now the next thing we need to do is do a conversion on this volume into quarts, US liquid quarts, and that can be done very simply. Just make a new parameter called existing quarts. Again, we don't need a value, and all you do is type in the following. You would put the cubic inches, which is existing volume, divided by 57.75, which I've got off the internet, and there's the value. Make that a user parameter too. So that is what the existing volume is in quarts. The next step is to determine the additional height we need to make in this bottle to make it hold 1 US quart. So we're going to make another parameter, and this was going to call additional height, and we will leave it inches. So the formula is we need two parentheses. We need to use the existing height. So we just pick E for existing height divided by the existing quarts, which is E existing quarts, parentheses, minus the existing height. Parentheses. That will give us the additional height we need to add to the bottle. It's a simple proportion. Say OK. Back in our model, we can continue by getting rid of the existing solid body that represents the fluid, because we're going to make a new one in a second. So remove it. Do not delete it. Make your bottle visible again. This is the body. What we're going to do is add a section to it. Now we want to keep it a body. So what we're going to do is make an offset plane from the inside face of the bottle. It really doesn't matter inside or outside, but we'll use the inside. And we're going to come up and into the straight area right below that indentation and say OK. Now the next thing we're going to do is do a split body. So we go to split body. This is the body, and the tool we're going to split with is the plane we just made. This produces the top and bottom part of the bottle. We can turn off that plane. We don't need it anymore. Now the next step is to take the top part of the bottle and move it up that additional distance. So right click, move, pick on the arrow, come over and pick on the distance. Be sure you know which one it is. It happens to be the Y. And then type in A for additional height. It'll move it up. There's a space we need to fill with new material. Now we have two bodies representing the bottle. What we need to do is create an extrusion from this edge. So go to this edge, pick it, and right click and say extrude. And you want to go up the same distance, and that's why you want to use your parameters. They're much more accurate than typing them. And you want to join into the other body. As you can see, it merges together and makes one body. Okay, now what we need to do is check the volume of this one. So let's do the same method. Create a work plane between the two edges. Make sure you get the right two edges. Then go ahead and make your new sketch on that plane. Put a rectangle, encompass it. Doesn't matter what size as long as it's around it. And extrude it. Same as we did before. Again, leaving it on cut makes it easy to see. Go past the model, then change to new body. Next thing you want to do, of course you want to keep the model there, so turn off the model. Whoops, we need to do a combine. I'm sorry, combine. We're going to pick the fluid, and then we're going to pick the body to cut from it and keep it. Now you can turn off the body, and you can also remove the outside part representing the fluid. Do not delete it, and there's your new volume. You want to take and right click on that and ask for properties. So it's 58.1592. Write that down. Wish you could copy it, but you can't. And if you want to, you can use your calculator, or I'm going to go back to my parameters and do a new parameter. it is equal to new volume is unit list. I don't want any units. It's going to be that value 58.1592 divided by 57.75. And you see we're pretty close. We're off by 7/1000ths of a quart, which is not really bad. And we also have finished, and we have a whole new model, just like we started with. Now, if you would like to save this, save as, I'm going to call it plastic bottle, new volume. And we want to get rid of the timeline back to the original solid. Here's what you can do. Just derive it into a new component. Derive it into a new component and only pick the body. And there you go. You have a new component with just the body. And then what you want to do is break that link, and you have a clean model to work with. I hope this gives you some ideas of how to take the volume of something and create a new solid that you can use to exact figures. Thanks for watching.